Welcome back, and today I'll be making a DIY ender eye from Minecraft. To start off, I got some clear casting epoxy resin from the craft store. It really did not matter which kind, but this was just the cheapest for me, so I went and got this one because I try to make all my projects as cheap as possible. And as you can see, it does irritate your skin, so I went and put on some gloves. And for the actual mold itself, I actually used a bath bomb mold that I also got from the craft store, and it happened to just be the perfect size. That worked out perfectly. And for this particular resin, it is a 1-to-1 ratio, so I went and I poured them first in a clear cup, that way I could see exactly how much resin I was using, and I went and scraped it into a different cup and mixed it all together. And it's very important to keep this resin all mixed uniformly or else it may not cure all the way. And then halfway through, I added some more food coloring, and I did this halfway through, that way I would not make too much bubbles inside of it. And as you can see, there's a ton inside here, so I went and tapped that at the bottom, let it sit a little bit, and kept tapping that, and just let that sit while the bubbles popped out. And while that was sitting and also hardening, I began to make the inside of my actual eye. And obviously you can see I got some clay here and there, so it does not matter, it does not have to be perfect. And I just started making simple rings, except each ring was a different color. So as you can see, I added 3 different colors, and then once those were all smushed down on top of the clay, I scraped them all together with a toothpick. And scraping together just gave it a nice marble finish, and I then smoothed it out again so that it would all be uniform. I then surrounded it with more black clay and scraped it inside, and I did this so it would add a neat little iris effect to the outside of the eye. And then once that was done, I cut away the outside black and began making the pupil. For the pupil, I just made a diamond shape with more black clay and put it in the very center and used more clay along the sides to keep it in so it would not fall off. I cut that out of the sheet of paper we're using and I put that in the freezer. And as you can see now, our mixture is kind of hardening already and there is no more bubbles, or at least not as much. So I began pouring that inside the mold, but I did not pour all the way, and I did this so that way when our inside eye clay piece goes in, it will not overflow around the edges. So as you can see, it does grow. And now for this one, this video actually I did mess up because I wanted to just use the rest of the resin so I could make a ender pearl along with this, along with the back of the ender eye. So I just mixed all the resin that I had left over and let that sit. Except while it was sitting, it did cure a little too fast, and so it started melting my cup. So if anyone does decide to try to make this, don't mix all the resin at once. And as you can see in this video, I'm actually trying to save it, and it's actually melting as I try it. And this is sped up a little bit, but it's fine because it worked out because the mixture I made was too blue anyways. So maybe it was a sign. So here's a fast forward of me fixing it. I just did the same process as the last one. I just tapped out all the bubbles and mixed it all together and let it sit out for a while. And once most of the bubbles were gone, as you can see there's some right there, I began pouring that inside of my mold on top of the cured eye. And for this one I made a slightly more green tint. This will be the actual ender pearl itself. In this video I'm making an ender pearl and an ender eye. And so as you can see here, I'm just tapping as much bubbles as I possibly can out of the actual mold so that when I do take it out, the bubbles will not be part of the actual mold itself. So here this is fast forwarded. You can see there's a shit ton of bubbles all over the ball, but that's fine. I'll be able to get those out easily. And so I just easily pop those out of the mold. That's the good thing about having a soft mold. Then I got that and I sanded, and actually does not show it here, but I sanded and used a file to get all the bubbles off. And then using some water, I poured out all the dust out of each little crevice, and it's not perfect, but it does come out eventually like that. And so right here I used some Brasso to clean and polish the actual ball itself because it is cloudy. You can see here I actually don't know what I was doing, but I spilled Brasso all over my fingers, so don't do that because this video is pretty old, but the month after my fingertips were peeling the whole time. As you can see, it's getting a little bit less cloudy the more I polish it here. And as for the ender pearl itself, I did the exact same process, and this time I could actually show you guys how I did it. And I basically just sanded it down with a file and some sanding, and basically that was it. And then I just put some more Brasso and polished it as much as I could, get all that cloudiness out, and there we have it. There's the ender eye and ender pearl. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what I should do next.